back to Miss Cindy's Kitchen. Tonight I'm going to show you another one of our favorite recipes, chicken broccoli divan. And I didn't have all the ingredients I needed for it, but I decided to adapt it for what I did have on hand, simply because not everybody has the ability to go out and buy a whole list of ingredients to make a recipe. You just take the list, see what you can accommodate, and use what you have. So this is kind of one of those, this is what we're having for dinner recipes. So with chicken divan, it calls for 2 cups of rice, and we're going to put that in the casserole dish. And I sprayed it with some non-stick spray because it's for both cooking and baking. So you take, again, 2 cups of rice, put it in the baking dish. Then it called for 2 10-ounce packages of frozen broccoli. But what I had was about a gallon bag of broccoli and cauliflower, mostly broccoli though, that needed to be used up. So I washed it and went through it, and I ended up with quite a bit of broccoli. So I'm going to use it all up. So, and basically if you have a recipe idea, you can adapt it for what you have on hand. And canned chicken is very popular in our house, so especially with our oldest who likes to feed his cat canned chicken. So I had to make do with the remaining 2 pouches of canned chicken. It's supposed to be 2 cups of cubed chicken, but this is about a cup and a half, so it'll work. So you put the chicken on top of the broccoli, and you know what? You do what you can with what you have. So this is kind of a, you take an idea and run with it. So there's that. And then for the sauce portion of this, we're going to have a cup of mayonnaise. And it's best to use real mayonnaise. Generics are fine on most things, but for some reason, nobody but the major companies can get mayonnaise quite right. So I prefer Best Foods. And on the East Coast, it's Hellman's. And I hear if you're in the South, Duke's makes a really good mayonnaise as well.
So Duke's is from the South?
I believe it's from North Carolina, South Carolina, somewhere back there.
I noticed that you had your rice in a jar. When did you start doing that?
Well, we had a bag of open rice, and Maddie put it in a jar.
Oh, okay.
Because you've got to keep your grains airtight, because you don't want to get weevils or bugs or anything. Which is another reason that when you bring grains home from the store, they should at least spend the night in your freezer, just to make sure anything that they've picked up along the way is killed, because freezing overnight will kill most parasites or larvae and whatever. So we have 2 cans of cream of chicken. These are 10.25 ounces. And that was a little mosquito that came in. I don't know where they're coming from. But anyway, so this is actually just an off-brand of cream of chicken soup. So, got that. So, we have a cup of mayonnaise, 2 cans of cream of chicken soup, and it calls for a ½ teaspoon of curry powder, just to give it some flavor. And it looks as though I haven't used this yet.
It's brand new.
Yep, I was restocking my supplies after Christmas. I'm like, oh, I need to have curry powder on hand, because I didn't have it. So, ½ teaspoon curry powder. And then it calls for a teaspoon of lemon juice. I'm just going to eyeball it. These are very juicy lemons. So a little bit more, not a big deal. I'm going to grab a whisk to stir this. So we're going to stir this up, make a nice creamy sauce. And I was surprised it didn't call for milk or anything to thin it out. So
yeah, I was a little surprised too.
Yeah. So Basically, it just says to layer it and then pour the sauce over the chicken. So we're gonna keep it simple, and I would think it would call for mixing it all up, but it will get mixed up into the oven as it cooks. And let me grab that spatula here. And again, the oven is at 350 degrees, which seems to be the gold standard for baked goods. So I'm going to spread this sauce over the chicken mixture. And again, that's 2 cups of rice. And it was about 6 cups of broccoli florets. Again, it was something that needed to be used up. So we hadn't had chicken divan in a while, so I thought I'd share. So the next part of this, whoops, is cheese.
Cheese.
And it called for a half a cup of cheese, but this is what I had left, about 4 ounces of a Colby Jack blend. So I'm going to put that on there. And then it calls for fresh breadcrumbs made out of butter and torn up bread, but I've got some Parmesan breadcrumbs. I'm just going to use that. So we're going to go ahead and put this in the oven. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and share to your friends, and give us your feedback. And we're going to bake this for 350 degrees, or at 350 degrees, for about 40 minutes, and then we'll bring you back when it's ready to come out of the oven. Alright, now the casserole is done, and there is a big amendment to the cooking directions because I misread this particular recipe as it called for cooked rice rather than dry rice. So what I did is I took it out of the oven. When I initially put it in and then realized what I had done. So I took it out, put in 4 cups of chicken broth to cook the 2 cups of dry rice, then return it to the oven. At the 40-minute mark, the rice needed more time to cook, so I covered it in foil, cooked for an additional 20. So that's what I did. So I'm going to close the oven before the dog gets into it.
So what do you do when this happens? When it's like...
You roll with it. You figure out what didn't go as expected, and you fix it.
That looks really good.
Yeah. So let me get a spoon here. Alright, I don't know where my good spoon went, but anyway, generally when you have grains, the cooking ratio is 1 cup of grain to 2 cups of liquid. So using that, I just put in 4 cups of broth, and I use the dry chicken broth in a lot of different things. So I just scoot the parts of the casserole over, and I pour the broth underneath.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like it came out pretty well.
It does.
So we're going to let this cool, and then we'll come back for a taste test. So make sure you like, subscribe, and share to your friends. And if you goof in the kitchen somehow, just figure out how to fix it and roll with it. So again, this recipe, we just used what we had on hand, and I had to add extra liquid to cook the rice, but it's all good. So just give us your feedback, and we'll be back with you soon for a taste test. All right, and we're back, and Tyler is going to be our taste tester.
Hey, Tyler!
And I ended up making a lot more rice in the casserole than intended, but next time I'll know better. Mmm.
Look at that smile.
Hot. Good.
Well, we let it sit for about 10 to 15 minutes after it came out of the oven. So even though the addition of the extra rice was a goof, it'll help bulk up the casserole since we were missing some chicken in it. So anyway, thank you again for joining us. And please like, subscribe, and share to your friends. And give us your feedback. And if you're trying something new in the kitchen and you find out you made a goof, just roll with it. Figure out how to adapt the recipe for what you did or didn't do, as well as the ingredients you may be short on. So just feel free to try new things and experiment in the kitchen, and join us again soon.
Thank you for watching Miss Cindy's Kitchen. To get more recipes like this one, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell for notifications when new videos are uploaded. Share it out to your friends, family, neighbors, and leave us a comment to let us know how this recipe worked for you. And don't forget to hit that like button. Again, thank you for watching Miss Cindy's Kitchen.